Substack. Hi everybody. Now we should be live in all the places now. Okay, if you're watching on Substack, you can't see my screen on Substack, and I'm sorry about that. That's a limitation of Substack. But what you can do is go to the authorautomations.com website, and at the top I have a link there that says Live Now. So you can click on Live Now. That will take you over to the Zoom, and you can watch on the Zoom. And we've got some folks in the Zoom now. Hi everybody. There's all my friends are here. Oh good, because I was a little bit stressed out that it was going to be sort of a something that folks wouldn't be able to see. All right, let me get sorted here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. You should be able to see that. And in Zoom, you should be able to see my screen now. Okay, if you can't see my screen, can you pop it into chat? Just there's a chat there, so you should be able to see my screen now. And also, all right, so let's do some housekeeping real quick. Sorry, I don't normally go live. I don't love going live, but I've got all this software that lets me go live. So I'm thinking, yeah, let's do this. Okay, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the faceless. Why is chat disabled? Thank you for telling me that. Chat shouldn't be disabled. Says it's enabled. You might try Q&A if the chat doesn't work also. There we go. Yeah, I'm seeing some chat in there. I can see Karen's in there doing some stuff. Okay, chat is disabled. Okay, so if chat's disabled, just put it in the Q&A. I don't know why chat's disabled. It's live for me and it says it's enabled. But this is one of the joys of going live, you guys. It's always insane. If you're watching on Substack, again, I cannot share my screen to Substack. So if you want to watch the screen as I'm screen sharing, please go to authorautomations.com and then click on the live link at the top. It says Live Now. So click on Live Now and you will be able to watch as I go along. I know there's 12 of you following along. There might be a delay too, so I would say go over to the Zoom and see if you can watch it on the Zoom. Okay, I'm gonna keep an eye on the Q&A. Apparently everybody's having trouble with chat. I don't know why. Chat should be working, but unfortunately it's not today. I love live tech. So fun. All right, we're going to get started. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. And hopefully everybody, can you guys all see my screen? Hopefully that's going fine. And let me hide my video real quick. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now. And what we're going to do today is we're going to walk through a video generation automation that I've created. This is kind of cool. It's also very flexible. It's also super nerdy. So when you sort of see this, don't be intimidated by it, because I am going to kind of break it down step by step for you. There's a bunch of steps. Some of them are optional. Most of this uses AI. There's really no way around that. I know a lot of times I talk about the fact that automation does not equal AI, but in this case, this is really the point of it. The point of it is to use automation for marketing so that you are able to, generate images, generate audio, generate voiceovers, all of that in one fell swoop. So if you are AI adverse, this isn't the automation for you. The way that it works, what you do is you start with a form. I've set this up to start with a form. You don't necessarily have to start with a form, but I did it so that you could put in extra data and you could really sort of plump up what you wanted the scenes to generate. The way that it works is it generates 6 scenes, it generates 6 images, and it generates 6 voiceovers, and they all are put together at the end to make one video. So let me show you what the end result is, and then I'll show you what it actually will look like when we're finished. So the end result looks like this, right? Okay. Now, let's all just agree up front that is terrible. I am not an artist, nor am I a particularly profound person. And all of this is customizable. But the end result is the tech. That's what I want to show you today, right? That's the tech. How you get there and what you get to is going to depend on what you put in. Hey, Jackie, I can't share screens on Substack. So if you go to authorautomations.com and you click on the live at the top, you can go to the Zoom link. Substack doesn't let me go share a screen on live. Sorry about that. I thought they would let me do that, but it will not. Okay, so the way that the automation works is it starts with a form. And in that form, I have some things in here that will let you email it back to yourself later. But the main thrust of it is that you put in the name of your book and you put in the author name. And then this field right here is where it's really going to matter what you tell it your book is about. So I have put in my story Bible that I have for my fiction with my pen name Lola McDougall. And I've got all kinds of stuff in here. I've got my story core Bible. It's a cozy paranormal mystery rooted in fairy tale retellings, coastal magic, and generational secrets. It's got this setting. It talks about the history of it. Now, I have played with this. This becomes part of the prompt later that you use ChatGPT to build all of this. But I have put in absolutely everything in here. There's a couple of things I don't put in here. One of which is I don't put in any spoilers. I don't put in any red herrings. I don't put in anything that I want to be revealed because the automation may not understand that you need to keep that secret, right? So don't put in anything in your prompts that would give away the story ending. You really want to use this as a marketing hook for people to read and buy your book, right? You want to send them to KU at the end. You want to send them to, wherever you're selling your book. You want to be sure that you are not giving away anything. But I add a ton of stuff in here. Now, the other thing that you can do, you don't have to feed all of this stuff in here like I have. I just happen to copy paste everything in there. But what you can put in there is a specific direction about what you want to promote. So let's say you were about to promote a new release. You could put in just the basics of that new release. The more information that you put in here, the better the result is, because that's going to determine how the images are generated. It's going to determine what the voiceovers say. It's going to determine all the stuff. The bare minimum that you want in here is the genre, and you want the mood, and you want it to know, whether it's horror, whether it's spooky, whatever you want it to, the end result to be is what you're going to define here, right? And then I'm just sort of watching in the Q&A to see if there's anything there. And there's not. Okay, so as we go through here, if there's anything that is unclear, you can go to the Zoom and type in the Q&A. I'm trying to watch all of the comments, but it's really hard for me to watch the comments in all the different places. The other thing I will say is that if you are unsure or unclear, you can always send me a Facebook message, or you can send me a Substack message, or you can drop me an email. I'm happy to sort of answer questions after the fact. Okay, so I have set it to do 3 images at a time. This form, and I've tested it, this automation can work, up to 10 or 20 at a time. I wouldn't test it beyond that, uh, because it does entire sequences. And so because it does entire sequences, if you don't like the result, then you don't want to have to do the entire sequence all over again. It's one of the, kind of, we're not quite there yet. The tech hasn't caught up to some of the stuff that we want to do. Also, just let me say one more time, if you're on Substack, I can't share my screen on Substack. I'm really sorry. There is a link at the top of authorautomations.com. If you click on that and it says live now, you will automatically join the Zoom where I am chatting. Also, if you have a question as we're going through here, feel free, you can raise your hand and I can allow you to talk. So I don't mind doing that. I actually don't love webinars. I much prefer meetings so that there's a lot of interaction in chat, but this was the only way I was able to sort of go live on all of the channels today. All right, so once you fill this form out, it will go to an N8N workflow. Now, this looks really complicated, and let me just back up and talk about the difference between Make.com and N8N. So, Make.com is an automation. It's what they call a no-code automation system, and it lets you string things together. So if we look at Make.com, it starts with this, and then it goes through this, and to this, and to this, and then to this. And you can see that it's iterative, right? It does this, and then it has some decisions, but the decisions are always predefined. It always says, if it's this, then do this. If it's this, then do this. If it's this, then do this. There isn't really decision-making capabilities inside of either Make.com or inside of Zapier, right? Which are both touted as no-code, low-code solutions. They're fantastic. I use them all the time. I use them in conjunction with different things. It is a way for you to be able to automate both very simple things as well as really complex things. And I have used both Make.com and N8N in this particular scenario, primarily because I tried to hack the first part of this in Make.com and for about 7 hours. And I was pulling my hair out and I was super frustrated and it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. And it was incredibly, incredibly frustrating. I went into N8N, which is an agentic automation builder, and I did it in 45 seconds. And I'm not even kidding. That's not hyperbole. I just kind of did the happy dance down my hall all by myself because I got this to work at like 2:00 in the morning. And I was super, super excited about it. So I start with N8N, and you'll see in N8N, it looks very intimidating. It looks a little bit similar, but I have this webhook that pulls it off of this form. So everything that's in this form, this webhook, all this does is say, here's all the stuff that this form just did. And when you've got it, then it will start to do some things. The first thing that it does is it connects up to OpenAI, and then it keeps everything in a simple memory, and then it writes it back to Airtable. All that sounds really complicated, but it's really not that complicated because inside here, I've given ChatGPT an instruction and said, here's my form that I've filled out. Here's what I want you to do with it. And so I have it. The first prompt is, you're a video concept developer for book trailers. You will create a total of, and then this is just a variable. And in the form, I said I wanted 3 videos for the following book and the following author. And again, all it's doing is picking up what the form told it was that I wanted. And then I have said, I've hard coded this in here to say I want 6 short scenes of 10 seconds each. The total video is 60 seconds. That doesn't always end up being that way, but I'll show you in just a second. For each of the 6 scenes, write a narration caption that does not describe the visual literally. Instead, it should form part of a 6-panel emotional story that captures the book tone, themes, or tension, and then generate one highly descriptive cinematic image prompt string suitable for use in Leonardo.ai. I have a technical note in here: do not return this as an array. That's related to the stress I had trying to use it with make.com. That's kind of a leftover. But then I say the mood, tension, the tone, mood, and setting should be inferred directly from the source text, which is here. And that's where I, again, added I added my story Bible. You could put in a chapter of your book. You could put in, I wouldn't put in your whole book. A lot of agentic systems have trouble if it's over a certain length. So I would sort of keep it narrowed to the scope of what you want. But it really is pretty descriptive, and it does do what you want it to do based on what you put in, right? So it's garbage in, garbage out. The next thing I say is be evocative, specific, and immersive. And then this is the beauty of it. In N8N, what you do is you give it an objective. You don't have to give it specific instructions like you do with make.com, where you say, if this, then this, then this, then this, then this. In N8N, I can say, create a single Airtable row for each of these and populate the columns. I don't even have to tell it what the column names are. I don't have to tell it what I want it to populate it with. It's just freaking smart, and it figures it out. That's the difference between where we're headed with automations, which is agents, and where we are right now, which is with low code or no code scenarios with make.com and Zapier. So it's about to get really, really exciting in the world of automation, because I'm moving a lot of my workflows into N8N, but I'm also keeping a bunch of them in make.com. There's just no reason to reinvent the wheel, right? Elaine, your question is the voiceovers fading in and out. I will show you the template later because that's all related to how the template works, right? So we'll take it step by step. All right. So again, just to recap, I have started a form that I have filled out. I have sent that form over to ChatGPT by way of N8N. And by the way, I self-host my N8N, so all of these are very inexpensive. I'm not using N8N's app or service, because there you have limitations and you run into boundaries, and it bumps up and does things that that cost a lot of money. And I'm fairly cheap. I like automation because it's cheap and I'm lazy. All right, so after this happens, this is my result, right? It takes all of this stuff and then it puts it into Airtable, which is exactly what I wanted, right? And so with Airtable, in fact, let me just test it and see if it works. All right, so I'm going to do it again, and I'm just going to hit submit on my form. And then I'm going to come over to my workflow and I'm going to test the step. And then it's got it. It's going to sit here and it's going to do the output. Now, I will say I've been playing with this a lot, so I might have little things that break here and there throughout the presentation today. This is a working session. It is me just kind of showing you what's possible. So if something breaks, I'm not stressed about it. And you shouldn't be either, friend, because that's how automation works. But we'll see what happens together here. In the background, also, I've connected it to Airtable. So for N8N, when you do an AI agent, you have the agent itself, you have a model that you want to connect it to. So you don't have to use ChatGPT. You can use, Anthropic, you can use Claude, you can use DeepSeek, you can use anything you want. You can even do your own self-hosted LLM if you want to. If you're really, really concerned about privacy, you don't have to use any. Okay, so here's the output. It gave me the output. And then if I go back over here to all records, you'll see here's the new ones that have been created. Here's three new story outlines. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. I have them grouped, but and then you'll see that it's created these scene prompts. It's created a scene 1 prompt that says a tense family gathering amidst stormy weather where heated glances cut deeper than words. All right. All of this output that comes in here with the scene prompts and the narration, which is the voiceovers and the imagery, all of this is directly in relation to what I have put in to my prompt here. So if I wanted something to be, I have it as evocative, specific, and immersive. So if I wanted to say playful, lighthearted, if I was doing cozy, sweet romance or something, I would put my mood in here, because whatever I put into this prompt is going to populate and inform and carry over to all of these. So what this prompt has done is it's created scenes. So here's scene 1, here's scene 2, here's scene 3, here's scene 4, here's scene 5 and 6. Now, again, I've hard coded these 6 scenes. I've said it's 6 scenes, but you could have that be 10 scenes, 4 scenes, 2 scenes. It's totally up to you. All of this, all you do is just change what you've got in either N8N, or if you don't want to use N8N for this first part, the thing that you can do here is you can, let me just go back over here and ungroup these. You can go in and type this stuff in. So if you don't want to use, the beauty of using AI is that you don't have to type it in. But if you want to type this stuff in, you can. And this is the part where what I do is after each step, I pause and I look at what I've got. Because if I don't like what I've got, I can always adjust it here. So this scene prompt that says, a serene beach at dawn, water gently lapping at the shore with the silhouette of a lighthouse standing guard, ethereal lights flicker around it. That's pretty verbose. That's great. But if I wanted to change it, I could, right? So the scene 1 prompt is going to now, in the next step, start to create more assets. The next step is we're going to create an image. We're going to create a voiceover using 11 Labs, and then we're going to have the captions there. So this scene 1 prompt is going to send the instructions over to Leonardo, which is what I use to generate images, and then it will generate an AI image based off of that. In scene 1 narration, this is going to go over to 11 Labs, and it's going to give me a voiceover. And then it's going to do the same thing for all of these steps, for all of these videos too, by the way. All right, so there's a few of them that I've got complete. So what I do then is I look over all of these things that I've just generated, these 3 new videos, and I go, yeah, is this okay? Stormy ocean crashing, pastel colored, vibrant spring festival, sure. And then if they're what I want, then I can go to and this status in Airtable is storyboard review. Then the next thing I can do is do storyboard approved. So I'm going to say, yeah, I like the direction of all of these. And then I'm going to come over to my first make.com scenarios. And I have 3 of them that I run. And the reason why I have these 3 and they're daisy chained together is because I like to look at things between things. I like to have the human element, so I'm just not putting together slop, and I make sure that it is exactly what I want and it's not going to go rogue and generate pictures. Like I was doing one the other night for someone, and they have a paranormal cozy fantasy, and it generated pictures of demons. It was hilarious. Like, there are demons, but they're playful demons in her series. So, we don't want to go hardcore on demonic stuff. You can, but that's not the vibe of her book. So that's why I have the 3 steps, is because I went in and looked and said, oh, well, that's a little too dark and spooky. We don't want that. All right. So here is the first step, and I have it labeled as A. And this step is going to go through each of those 6 scenes. I'm not going to open up each step for you, but I'll just narrate what it does for the sake of time. So the first step says in Airtable, when I've said, yeah, my storyboard's approved, now I want you to go create all of the sound files. And then I want you to put them in a place where the template maker at the end can get them. And then I want you to update Airtable and say it's good to go. So I'm just going to run this because we've got 3 that are ready to go. Oh, and of course I have an error. Oh, I changed the name of this. Hold on one sec. I need to revisit that, select all, and save, and save, and run once. There it goes. Okay, so with make.com, you can sort of watch it do its little thing here. So it's picked up 3 videos, and then it's going to iterate through those 3 videos, and then it's going to do all 6 voiceovers for all 3 videos. So here's 1, here's scene 2, here's scene 3, here's scene 4, here's scene 5, here's scene 6. Now, in these steps, I've created little funnels here. I've created little if-then statements in here. So if you have set it up so that there's only 2 scenes, it won't run 3, 4, 5, and 6. It'll only run 1 and 2. So this automation is smart enough to know how many scenes you've done, and it will iterate through each one of them and come back with the audio one by one. And then it will come back into Airtable here, and you can start seeing that it's generating the audio. So let me go to, so here's the audio files. So here's, it's kind of out of order, but here's audio 3, for example. So if I open this up, it's going to pop it open and you'll hear what it sounds like. Now, in that scenario, let me see if you can hear this. So dramatic. So dramatic. So dramatic. Uh, Again, all of this is related to how you tell it your mood is and what you're looking for. The other thing that is going to make it, what you want it to be is the voice you choose. So in 11 Labs, if I open up this module, I have chosen this pre-made Charlotte voice because I think she sounds pretty cool for fantasy. And but there are dozens of voices here, right? You can go through and pick out the voice that you want. And what I do is I go to 11labs.com and I just, bop through it to hear which one I want. Now, with 11 Labs, you do need obviously an 11 Labs account, and different levels will give you access to different voices. Some of them are more rich, some of them are, more narration type. You could do dual POV for this if you wanted to. You could do all kinds of stuff with this. The other thing that you can do with certain 11 Labs levels is you can narrate your own. You can automate your own voice. So in other words, instead of it being a pre-made voice here, it would be your voice in this list here. So you can choose. But I would say that's part of the design process as you go through here, is choosing the voice that matches your genre. All right, let me just I'm just going through Q&A here real quick to see if there's anything else. Chat disabled. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Be sure, just type them in the Q&A, or if you're on Substack, I do see the Substack thread. I'm live there. I can't share my screen. Hopefully you're following along at the authorautomations.com, and then click on live now up at the top. But if you've got questions, you can also raise your hand and I can allow you to talk if that is easier for you to answer a question there. Okay, so just to recap, we filled out a form. We told it everything we wanted to tell it about our story or about the project that we're working on. We let ChatGPT, by way of N8N, create all of the storyboards and give us an outline. We have Airtable as our hub. Airtable is our is our, big second brain, and it has all of the things in it, all the prompts and all the things that have been written back from Chat GPT. And now we're in the process of reviewing it, and we're going to go through and we can listen to all of those sound files if you want to. I mean, they pretty much are spot on. 11 Labs is pretty cool. So you go through 3, 4, 5, 6, all of these. When you're ready to do that, you can move on to the next step. So the first step was storyboard approved. Then it came back with this. Now you're going to do assets approved. Right here. So you're going to do assets approved. So you're happy with all the things that are happening here. Now it's going to go and it's going to do imagery for all of these. And the imagery becomes the background of all of the videos. So in Airtable, same thing. It's looking for all of the different, let me just make sure that's going to work. So it's waiting for a status in Airtable. In my case, I've said assets approved. This is my mid step for my human intervention. And then I can click on run once. And, oh, hang on. Let me see which is failing. Oh, I have a feeling. So I've been playing with free pick up here. I've been trying to generate different things. Oh man, how do I get rid of this for now? Without getting rid of this for now. Oh, so it's approved. Let me make sure that that's not. Oh, yeah. Hang on. So it's approved. That's why. Okay, so what I did was I didn't have anything in this view. So when it went to create these images, Airtable was saying, dude, there's nothing there. I don't know what you're trying to do. There's nothing there. So that's my bad. So now if I run it, it will run it. And pay no attention to this up here. I'm playing with the coolest way to take these images that Leonardo has created and automate them and animate them automatically. It's just going to be so cool when I'm done with it. Okay, so you can see it's going through. Here's image 1, it's generating image 2, it's generating image 3, it's generating image 4, 5, and 6. It's going to take a minute. While it's doing it, let me just say, I like Leonardo, but if you like free pick, you can use that. If you like, if you wanted to do stock imagery, you can call any stock image. All of this is modular, right? Make.com doesn't care who you play with. It's none of it matters to it. This step right here is completely customizable and it's dealer's choice. So you can swap this out for anything that you want. I just like Leonardo because it comes back with super cool stuff. So as it starts to come back, you'll see that it comes out of this assets approved section here as it finishes, and it's going to come into this asset review screen again so that I can go in and I can look at these images one at a time to be sure that they're what I want. So here's image 1 that it generated. I don't know, that's not great, but it's a tense family gathering amidst stormy weather. Again, these are going strictly off your prompts. So you need to, what I do is I always come back and tweak my prompts as I'm tweaking them in here. So I'll tweak them manually and then come back to them. So there's image 1. So image 2 is a swirling storm above the lighthouse with energy crackling in the air, hinting in the awakening of Major Spirit. Okay, so let's see what we get. That's pretty good. And then image 3 is an ancient tome opens as if by itself. So here's image 3. I mean, sure. And then here's image 4. I will say it does a good job of people in this case. And in this particular one, let me see. It's pulled up. It knows that I have like a sea glass key. So it's trying to insert it in some spaces. So here's the sea glass key. I might have these messed up in order. That's probably me, not anybody else. But yeah, so you can see, and some of them end up being generic. Again, that comes back to the prompt that you use, right? So you can say, I want it to be iterative. I want it to show, a progression. I did not do a great prompt here. I'm not going to lie. This was just sort of half-assed. So here's the prompt that I have here. I just said write a narration caption and generate one highly descriptive cinematic image prompt. I didn't say any parameters. What I will often do is I will come back to, I'll grab this, open up Chat GPT and say, I'm trying to generate this. Can you give me a mega prompt? And Chat GPT is really good about helping you suss out these. The other thing that I do quite often is I will go to Chat GPT and I will upload an image that I really want. And I'll say, I am trying to generate a Leonardo prompt. Can you tell me how you would tell Leonardo to describe this? And let the apps talk to one another. We don't have to do that. I don't want to talk to apps. Let the apps talk to the apps. And then I'll just paste that prompt back in here. This prompt should actually be much, much longer. Again, this is just sort of a demo, so I didn't really spend a lot of time on it just to get it where it needed to get. Okay, so now we've got all three of the story outlines. We've got the scene prompts. We've got the images. We've got the narration. It's still populating a couple more. Okay, so there's image 6. And then when this is done, it's going to change the status to asset review. And now the third step, once I've gone through and I've looked at all of this, and this is something that you or your PA can absolutely do, in a quick second, you could do 10, approve them, and be done. The last step is now going to be to put it all together. You're going to put it all together. Yeah, Judy, no, you can't see my screen on Substack. There is a link at authorautomations.com. You can click on live now, and that'll take you to the Zoom. That's a limitation of Substack. I'm sorry. Okay, so we've got it all together. Now we want to put it all together into something. And so that is going to be the third scenario here, which is create animation. And in the create animation, it's going to wait for records to pop in that have not assets approved. Oh, I guess it is. Yeah, it is assets approved. I've been playing with this so much, you guys, that by the time I get to the final, it'll be fine. So assets approved. Okay, so I'm in asset review, and I'm going to go back to assets approved. I'm just going to approve all three of these and say, yep, these are great. So the only human intervention through all of this is I fill out the form, and then I come in and I start in storyboard review, and then I review it and I make sure it's what I want. Then I go to asset review and I make sure it's what I want. And then, and that's it. And then the last step is putting it all together. So in this create animation, what it does is it grabs the records that are ready. It runs through each one of the videos. This is why we do it this way, so that you can do multiple videos at once. And then it's going to use an app called Creatomate. And what Creatomate does is you can set up templates. So in my template, I have 6 compositions. Compositions are basically scenes. They're going to what transitions between each one. Now, I threw this together really quickly, and I didn't add and I didn't fix some of the fade outs and the animations and different things. So it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it will be close. And I'm going to show you how you can edit it to be, what you want it to be. With Creatomate, you can do all kinds of templates. Basically, it smooshes stuff together, right? That's what Creatomate does. But in the templating, you can create any kind of template that you want. So they've got featured fundamentals, voiceovers, social media marketing, e-commerce, real estate personalization, or you can start from scratch. And if you start from scratch, you can do all the different sizes too. So you could do one-to-one squares, which are, great for, you know, one to one is the square for Instagram. Sorry. You can do the 16 by 9 landscape, which are great for YouTube long videos. You can do a 16:10 landscape. You can do a 6:4, 5:4, 10:6, 4:6, 4:5. All of that to say, you have lots and lots of choices, right? 16:9 or 9:16. 9:16 is short and reels. Are you able to do the free pricing plan from any of these apps and services, or do you need at least the tier one paid plan? Creatomate is free for pretty much everything. You can do up to 200 videos. Leonardo, I think I've spent $6. You buy credits and then you just use the credits because you're using the API. So you don't have to have the plans. You can pay as you go for most of them. Good question, Giovanna. Thank you. Yeah. So usually what I do is I sign up for whatever free version I can get. And so Elaine, your question was, why is the voiceover fading in and out? It's because I haven't finished out this template, right? But in this scenario, what it does is you can see that it calls over to Creatomate here, and I've told it what template I'm using, and then I've plugged in the variables from Airtable that I've included. So background one is image one, text one on the screen is the text that's going to be in the voiceover, background two, background three, background four, text four, and so on and so on and so on. And then it's going to get all of the voiceovers, all of the text that's on the screen, and all of the imagery. So it fills in everything according to what I've told it should go where in this template. Most of them are pretty easy to figure out. It's not very difficult. The thing about them is you need to, so like in this first voiceover that I'm clicking here, let me just bump this up so you can see it a little bit better too. Let me reset this. Okay, that should be a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. So I'm in this composition. This is scene one. Composition one is scene one. And so in this voiceover, I've arranged it so that it auto starts and auto stops based on how long the sound is. And so that sort of sets it up. And again, I've played with these templates. I'm not an expert at these templates by any stretch of the imagination yet. I'm still just getting to know them. But and I'll play with them a lot more. So you've got your voiceover then, and then it says text one. Now, this is placeholder text. Don't freak out. It says this because when you set up your Airtable, it's going to pull from Airtable here, and it's in the Creatomate. It's going to pull from Airtable and it's going to overwrite that. So text one won't say, whatever this says. It's going to say whatever you've chosen for it to be there. So this will overwrite everything that's in the template. That's kind of the purpose of the template. So you've got text one, and then you've got background one, which is your image. Now you can see the image is sort of hanging off of here. I grabbed a template and I just sort of started playing with it. And in here, it's probably got some blurs and movement and all that stuff. If you start fresh from something, you probably won't have to undo a lot of the junk that I've had to undo, and it'll probably turn out a lot better than what mine was. But again, I was just kind of playing with it to see what was possible. And I wanted to get 6 scenes done pretty fast. So these are the within each of these scenes. So this is scene 1, and it's got the 3, and then here's scene 2, and it's got the voiceover, the text in the background, all the way through. So when I click on create and I do run once, it's going to go smoosh all this stuff together, right? So here it's going to Creatomate. Creatomate's doing it for the first one. And then in here, it's going to come back. When it's done, it'll be complete. So these are the three that I did earlier today. So we'll see 4, 5, and 6 come in here in just a second. Okay, so here's 4. And so if I open this up and just click this, here's the finished product. So dramatic. So dramatic. Yeah. So probably in this template, I have this set to 5 seconds. Let me just smoosh these over and make them, let's go 10 seconds. So all I'm doing is I'm dragging this to be 10 seconds and then 10 seconds. And then, so the fun part about this is it doesn't have a scroll bar. So that's why I was doing making it smaller to smush them around here. So let me do that again. So this is 30 seconds. And then this one is another. Um, Let me see if it'll actually show it on the screen here in a second. Of course not. Okay, hold on. Let me keep going down here. All right, so that should be, and that one, and then that one. So these should auto size, but I've got something in there that's not letting them auto size. So don't worry about that. The main thing is when you start with the template, all of this can really be, moved around so that it kind of fits. So here's my 4, 5, and 6. Now, if I don't like these and I go, you know what, I just fixed the template, I want you to do them again, you can go back and change that to ready for compilation again. This is what I do. So I go, yeah, I want you to use the new template, and then I'm going to run this automation again. And it's going to go back through and it's going to edit them according to the template that I've just updated. So you could do this in Notion as well as your database. Yup, you sure can. So all of these steps, good question, Troy. All of these steps are modular. I use Airtable. You can use Notion. You can even use Google Sheets. You can use anything you want, right? The main thrust of a no code or low code automation is that all of this is modular and it's easy to connect and hook. So in 5 seconds, I got movement. And that can become the background in your template here. It will take the background doesn't have to be a static image. It can be a video. So that's the next iteration of this is putting it all together with video and in this image sequence right here, taking this Leonardo image and then animating it and then writing that back to Airtable and then using that URL in the template. So yeah, the possibilities are really incredibly endless. Yeah, so you can do a free trial for 50 credits. I think 50 credits is, I think it's 4 credits per video. Although I've been playing with this on the free plan forever and ever. So I don't even know when I would, use it. And you could do a whole batch of them, once a month and probably stay under your limits if you were doing maybe 30 videos a month and just doing one a day. If you wanted to get into doing more of them, obviously that would be a little bit more. So, okay. Questions? Good questions. If I don't see your question on either Facebook or YouTube live, I will come back and answer them. So you can definitely post them there and I'll come back and answer them when I can. And I'm really sorry that I didn't have everything kind of all my ducks in a row for this particular. I went, hey, I've got software that I bought from AppSumo. I should probably use it. So that's what I did. I went live with it. And again, Substack, I didn't realize that you couldn't share your screen on Substack. I get it. Substack kind of wants you to do the one-to-one conversation thing. So you get to see me and hear me blab, but you can't see my screen unless you go over to Zoom. I'll figure out a better way to do that. I might be able to add a co-host to it and the co-host broadcasts. I'll work on that later. Right now, I'm just kind of knee deep in automations. Okay, so I'm just checking Q&A. Does anybody else have any other questions? We're kind of coming to the top of the hour and I want to respect everybody's time. The main thing to take away is, my God, look what's possible. This is the coolest. It's possible to do this. So here's our 3 new ones, right? So here's the first one. And then here's the second one. So dramatic. And then here's the Okay, I'm going to trust that you guys as writers will do much better than I did. You will be able to, I mean, I'm a writer too, but I don't market my own books because I'm just not great at it. I leave that to smarter people. That again goes back to the prompt that you create in here and what you put in. I have put in the story Bible for my cozy paranormal, and I've put in very basic instructions. But you can see once this is all tweaked, you will have an amazing a library of faceless videos that you can then upload to TikTok or to Reels or anywhere else based on the sizes, right? You could go in and create a second one where you, on the form that you're creating, you can set up the form, or you can set up Notion to say, number of videos I want to create with this batch. You can say 10. And then you could say that you wanted to do 3 for TikTok and 3 for Instagram, right? You can choose any sizes that you want, and the automation can kind of bust it out and help you do all that. The next thing I'm working on to expand this is that you can upload your cover, and then based on that, it will understand the mood and the vibe because it's going to N8N, and N8N does that really well. And then you can actually incorporate your book, and maybe at the end of your template here, have a call to action with your book. Read now at Kindle Unlimited, or buy here from my website, or direct to readers.com, obviously. Okay, are there any other questions in the Q&A that I can answer? Anybody have anything else? Oh, cool. Okay. So creating images for socials and then videos separately, but you can do one in both. Yeah, you can do one in one flow. Troy, the socials Um, so the way that I run my socials, if you come back, I'll just show you real quick social media here. So we don't use generative imagery in the magazine, in Indie Author magazine. So we use pexels. We get stock imagery and run through these steps. So it gets the pexels image. I also have one that can pull Adobe stock photography. And then in step 3, it puts it all together. And then I send it over and I let Vista Social do my scheduling because it has a queue and it knows when and how and what it wants to do. So we automate our social media. There's nothing that says you couldn't tack on posting to this step, right? You could put this step, your last step here could definitely be post this to my socials. So you could have another module here, and then you could make your last module TikTok, and you can, set it up for TikTok. TikTok has reports. Probably need to do it via API. Um, I don't post directly from here. Like I said, I post from Vista Social. But yes, you can have it in one flow. The animation software, Stuart, the one that I'm playing with right now is called, it's Free Pick is the name of it. And it's using Kling AI. So it won't let me configure it. Let me just play with it here. So it's FreePix AI, and then I'm using Kling to animate it and just doing a post. And then the image, I've generated an image and duration is 10. I changed it to 10 seconds. So it's all there. So I'll play with some more. And then write each to different rows. Yeah, Troy, the when I was playing with make.com and I was trying to get it to write to different rows, it had an array and a subarray and a sub-subarray. And then I had to bust it out with a parse 3 times and it still wasn't working. And then I did a string and it was not working. So usually I stick with one solution. But in this case, I could not stick with make.com. And make.com is, the smartest girl at the party most of the time. So I had to go back to N8N and I had to do it in N8N. And you can see all I did in N8N is create a single Airtable row for each. Oh, I love just being able to speak in natural language and tell it my objective and not have to sit there and mess with JSON, extract, do this, if this, then this. I had a variables, I had an iterator, I had a router, I had all this stuff. I don't want to mess with that. So I love N8N. It just does it and it works. me. Mike, I'm going to allow you to talk. You want to unmute? You raised your hand, so I'm assuming you had something to say. If not, that's cool too. Oh, you might have a loop there. Yeah, Mike, I'm going to mute you, and I'll wait for a question to come through. And feel free to text, send me a message because your audio's not coming through. Judy, you had a question. You can
Well, this is so much fun, and I would love for more lives. I like the fact that it's, you're showing it and it's not perfect, and let's see what we can do with it, because that's really how I learn what I'm doing. And then I go, okay, this tool, yep, that tool, not so much. It's just so it's authentic, and it's not about being perfect. It's experimenting. So
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And really it is, right? This is such new technology. We're all sort of figuring it out together. So absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments? We're a little bit over time. I don't mind going over time. Believe me, I could sit here all day and do this, but I want to respect everybody's time. So all right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks so much, you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I really appreciate everybody and your subscriptions to Substack. Give me this time every week. So thanks so much for your interest, and let me know how I can help you. And I will see you on the next one.